Hello ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games and welcome to an access show. Don't forget to like, make sure you show your support, pop a comment down below and let's get on with what I'm discussing today. And that is Conan Exiles. We're going to be taking a a look at Conan Exiles. It recently received the pet update, much anticipated, been really worked on over the last 7 or 8 weeks on test live servers, and it's fair to say that the pet update is pretty crap. I may be being harsh, you guys let me know after watching the video. Conan Exiles is free for Xbox users to try out this weekend, the whole game. So it's going to be a good point of call, I hope, for people thinking about picking up the game for the first time, maybe giving it a little try, as it's going to be free. What are you going to expect from this game? Bear in mind, everything is my own opinion. You can agree, you can disagree, but make sure you comment and let me know. Just keep it clean, yeah? So let's go, it's the access show. Why is Conan Exiles maybe not that great at the moment? I made this video literally only 24 hours ago. In fact, I've done it a couple days ago, but it's taken me some time to edit it and put it together. Now, what you'll gain from the pets update is that there are lots of pets for you to go and tame. So the pets has been promised for a while. It was in their early access plans initially, but they decided to make sure the game ran better and implement more features after launch. Few could argue with that. But it's been a while. The game came out in May, so a good 5-6 months ago now, and the end result of this update is it's not really been worth it. Pets are really broken. In fact, the whole update just doesn't really gel that well together. It's important we discuss the pets because that's where the game is currently at in how it thinks content needs to be delivered and where the game is in terms of enjoyment. Conan is a grindy game, like most survival games. You're going to be spending a lot of time gathering resources, leveling your character up and just basically running around the map. So what better way than to have a pet accompany you? We know it can't compete with Ark Survival Evolved. No one necessarily wants a big taming simulator where you just sit there for real life hours and hours like Ark. But I still feel that Conan Exiles pet system is massively underwhelming. So let's start with what doesn't work. Currently right now, when it comes down to the actual pens, they're just broken. Doesn't seem to be any real difference in between which pens you use other than a bit of time saving. So the idea is that you make these pens, you learn them and then you build them and then you'll be able to tame creatures up to a certain level. Now when you look at the wikis and during its beta on PC, the update, certain pens were only for certain creatures. So like level 1 was for simple turtles, shellbacks, stuff like that. Level 2 was more your wolves, more the higher level creatures. And level 3 really was for the special creatures. And that kind of makes sense. The idea that you've got to grind your way up, only have access to certain greater creatures or bigger creatures when you get there. But what's come apparent is that they are broken. You can use pretty much any pen to tame any animal. As proven in my video, which you can see, I tame a bunch of creatures in a simple level 1 and level 2 pen. In fact, I tame pretty much every creature I'm showing you guys in here. The end result is that I get a big collection of greater animals, and that's what you're really grinding away for. So, one mark against it, the pens aren't necessarily working correctly. Okay, so not the end of the world, updates come, it's free content for the game, you shouldn't be complaining too much, I'm sure they'll get around to fixing it. Fair enough, it's one bug, maybe they're going to fix it so the correct tier pens only tame the correct tier animals, they'll maybe fix the fact that some of the creatures are dying in the pens, etc, etc, etc. I'm not here to rag on devs over one broken mechanic, but I will start ragging on them when the whole update is broken. So lures are part of the update as well. They're meant to attract creatures to them so that you can maybe tame creatures, maybe take them away from the baby animals, and you go and collect the baby animals that are in the world. Maybe you want to bring it into a trap so you can take on some bigger creatures. There's many lures available. They can be available for reptiles, they can be available for tigers or cats basically. And the idea is that you place them in the world and they will attract creatures around it. Now in lots of testing, at the time when I've done this video and recently, I found that they just still don't work. I lost count how many times I placed some of these lures down and I just didn't get any results in terms of the creatures going towards them. They always came straight towards me and it just seems buggy. Now that may be down to me maybe not testing it thoroughly enough. Maybe there's certain things you have to do, like leave it for a few seconds, but I also found out that the lures disappeared after a few seconds. So again, this is maybe a small bug, maybe because I was in God mode when I spawned them in, maybe you've got to have certain things unlocked first, who knows. But either way, at the moment when you place lures down, they seem to disappear and you don't seem to get any creatures around it. Now the lures aren't meant to work that you just place them anywhere and all of a sudden you've got tigers around you. You've still got to place the lures within a certain range of the creatures nearby. But like I said, more frequent testing that I did off camera really didn't give me the desired effect I thought they would do. In my eyes, the lures should be there to bring the adult creatures away from babies maybe, so you can go and steal one. Or if you're taking on some of the big boss ones, the big boss versions of the creatures, maybe make it a bit easier because you can put them into a trap. So, two things broken, but you know, hey-o, like I said, maybe there's just a bit of polishing work needs done on them aspects. Now we've got the case of the babies as well. If you're playing on Xbox or PS4, I went round in quick speed. I boosted up my speed of my character and my stamina, and I just ran around the map looking for babies. And more criticism of the game as a whole, I think, rather than necessarily just the pet system, is that mobs don't spawn in quick enough. They only spawn in really when you're nearby. I don't know what kind of system it definitely is for sure. I know in Ark, one of the biggest problems or biggest issues is memory. When you have so many creatures spawn in, they've all got their own animations, they've all got their own AI paths, it can cause a lot of issues for the game. So maybe Conan Exiles helps performance by not having the creatures always spawning all over the world and they spawn just around you. But this presents a massive problem because sometimes it bugs out and you don't necessarily get a chance to go around getting the creatures you want. Now you can see I'm not running around at any stupid style speed. I think I'm going at a fairly decent speed. Literally I put some points into my stamina. But it took me over an hour and a half to find a few babies. So it's mounting up now. Three kind of issues. Some of them may be solved really easily. Some of them may be down just the way that I was playing the game. Nevertheless, I still think they're bugs that need to be looked at. Not ideal when the update has been worked on for 7-8 weeks nearly. Now let's actually talk about whether or not the pets are even worth it. So the pets are buggy. They're quite hard to find, and when you think about playing this in normal realistic mode, whether you're playing single player or on official servers, getting hold of some of these creatures and bringing them back to your base is really tough. Now that may be a good thing for a lot of people because it means they've got something to do in the game. Because one of the biggest major criticisms that I've always found with Conan is that once you do one boss run, once you go around exploring the map once, there's not really a lot to keep you coming back to the game day in, day out. You really have to love grindy games to appreciate that. Conan has a wide range of all sorts of things going on with it in terms of weapons and armours. You'll not find a better selection. You'll also not find a better building system. It far outweighs what Ark does in terms of how it builds and how it looks. So some of these things really help tick off some people's boxes why they enjoy the game. But I found Conan to just be a bit empty. And I explained this in my Ark vs Conan video, and I've explained it in other videos too, that when running around the world, I never really feel that sense of danger. You run around the world in Ark and you've got dinosaurs gnashing at you from every direction, but in Conan, put a couple points into speed and you can run away from anything. The danger just isn't there, and that's partially down to the way the AI is formed for the creatures, and that hasn't been improved as part of an overall update yet. During early access it was a big criticism and they worked on it a little bit, they improved some animations and they definitely gave some of the creatures a more impetus to attack you or work just a little bit better. But the vast majority of creatures in Conan Exiles kind of are just a bit derpy. The AI just isn't that clever. When you do come across some creatures, you want them to give you a real challenge. And what we find with the creatures in Conan is they're just meat shields, they're meat bags. You literally have to wait on them for hours if you come across one of the king versions. And that might be the only way that you'll have some sort of real contest with one. That's not a good game mechanic, that's just putting something there just to make everything a bit longer. And that transfers to the pets. The idea there is that you go around running around, all this effort finding a baby. You bring it back, it takes hours to tame one in an actual taming pen on single player or official servers, and you get this beautiful creature to run around inside you, unless you don't like spiders. But the AI for your pets is broken too. It's just as bad as the thralls. Another criticism that's levelled at Conan, that the thralls just aren't worth it. I've yet to see any gameplay videos, official servers, or even come across people playing it on official who used thralls as a real force, who had loads of them running around with them, keeping them protection. But judging by the way the pets work, it seems to be exactly the same AI. You can only make one pet follow you at a time, and so it's not really worth going out there building a huge collection of pets unless it's something you really want to do because it's just something to do in Conan. I don't believe you should be playing games, even survival games which are naturally grindy, as just for something to do. You should want to do it because it gives you a sense of accomplishment and it gives you a bonus or a good reward. And the pets just aren't that. Now, there's different versions of the pets. You can get better versions. You can get things like ice pups, as you see in front of me, the white one. You can get greater pets, which are larger. They have more health. They may even have some abilities give you certain attacks. This is all dependent on feeding pets their favourite food. If you feed them their favourite food, you've got more percentage chance to get a greater pet. And this again is another critical point. You run around, you grind, you get some pets, you bring them back. You've then got to make the special food. Now the special food, if you don't bother going to a dungeon they've just added to the game, the Midnight Grove, usually consists of things like exquisite meat. You know, it's one of these top end things that you have to kill certain creatures for. When you do this, you still only have a percentage chance. The maximum percentage you have with most of these is around 20%. So every baby creature you get, you may only have a 20% chance of getting a greater pet. This increases when you go and do the Midnight Grove dungeon. If you complete that dungeon, you're blessed with Jabal Sag's religion, and you can also go and gather something called Shade Bloom. If you've been playing it, I'm sure you're aware now, but the Shade Bloom can be mixed with foods to create Shade Spice. And so you can have Shade Spice pork, Shade Spiced feral flesh, or Shade Spice, whatever it is. Now this increases your chances, but for the majority of animals again, it increases it by the tiniest amount. We're talking only 5 or 10% in most cases. So you go to all this bother of completing one of the hardest dungeons in Conan Exiles, by the way. The new Midnight Grove. It's meant to give you lots and lots of action, and by the time you've done all that, that could be a good few weeks. So some fairly decent solid content and some sort of reward at the end of it. But the reward just isn't that great. I think only increasing the percentage chance by 5 or 10% really doesn't sit with all the work and effort you've put into it. Considering as well all the time you've put getting the babies from their mums like this. And you get the picture that you're running around the map, you're gaining these pets, you're spending extra time finding food for them, and their AI is buggy. They don't necessarily attack creatures the way you want them to. They can be slow and unresponsive, and you can only make one follow you at a time. It's a whole debate, and I don't know if this video is going to cover it properly or accurately, but around the thrall system in Conan, it's just not been very good at all. The creatures don't attack you enough, the thralls don't attack you enough, and when you're in combat with other players on live servers, the thralls are pretty much useless. Disagree with me, please disagree with me and tell me some descriptions when you've been online and you've come up against a crew, another team, another tribe that have got a good amount of thralls. Apart from placing a few around as arrow duty on your base, they just don't seem to have a real beneficial use. It seems like only the crafting thralls really are worth it. The pet system was meant to give you more to do in the game, so once you've completed the dungeons, once you've gone around and kind of built your base up, got some rare resources, made the best armour, you would have something extra else. And it does do that. If you're a real Conan fan, you're going to be going, Jade, I love this update. Sure, it's a bit buggy or broken, but I love the fact I can go and get a pet now. I don't mind the grind, that's what the game's there for, etc, etc. But I just disagree. I think the pet system should be rewarding. I think if you go to the effort of grinding out and getting special foods for the pets, you should have more percentage chance of getting the reward that you deserve. On average, you may need to go and get 5 or 6 tiger cubs, maybe even more. You would then have to feed them their special food, which could be the Shade Spice stuff if you want the ultimate chance. And that doesn't come cheap either. That requires multiple visits to the dungeon or teleporting baddies from that dungeon, which you can do, and killing them and gaining the sources you need. So to boil it up, pets just aren't worth it. It's not worth the grind, it's not worth going around gathering all these creatures up just to only be able to take one around with you. The AI in them's pretty rubbish, and if it weren't for the fact that they boosted all the creatures and the thralls to make them a bit more level, they just really wouldn't be worth your time. So that's a huge criticism, and that's something I don't know if Funcom can fix, because we are out of early access. It's been 6 or 7 months since release, and supposedly there may not be that many more updates to come, or if they've taken as long as it's taken for the pets update to come, it really will not be worth it. After pets, we're supposedly going to be getting sorcery, something long talked about and hinted and implemented slightly in early access. There is corruption in the game. You go to certain spots, you hit the corruption, you gain it. It's meant to be a debuff. Alongside them lines, the talk was during early access that you would gain corruption so much that you would become corrupted and you could become some sort of dark sorcerer. But that's obviously a while off. The devs confirmed in a recent live stream and an interview with Firespark81 that they were going to be working on the sorcery aspect next. And in a recent live stream they also spoke about mounts. Now mounts is an interesting one because you would naturally assume all this work running into the pets that mounts would be part of that too. All the effort, all the work into going to get some of these creatures, yet you can't ride any of them. I'm not looking for a carbon copy of Ark Survival Evolved. The Conan map is quite small comparatively, it feels that to me. You can pretty much get around it in an hour just running around with one water bottle and some food. The biggest arguments against pets or mounts in the game has been that the game can't cope with it. They had technical issues. They basically said the world wasn't loading up correctly when they were using mounts. I have mentioned many times it's akin to something like Minecraft where you'd load in and chunks wouldn't appear. But recently, which was positive, they said they maybe will be looking at it again. And so it would make a real good use of some of these pets, even if it is only just camels and horses or certain pets only. But it would give you another way to play. It would give you an extra way to explore, and it would make for some interesting battles running into other players when you're both mounted. More features that are pretty unique. Believe it or not, Conan is an online serviced game. Just like any game that has lots of multiple servers where you have big communities of people playing constantly online, it deserves and it should have content added to it periodically. I'm not even just using Fortnite as a model for that. Even Rust, which come out of early access, has been receiving content. Lots of games, even Minecraft back in the day, is still receiving lots of content all the time. These updates may slow down a little bit, we might not get them as frequently, but they're still receiving content. It isn't an extra that you should be wholly grateful for. When you pay your money into these games, when you're buying DLC for these games, you deserve content back too. I don't know if the dungeons are as bad. I only tested it in Test Live and there were lots of problems then. I haven't tried it on Xbox or PS4 since then. Let me know if the rest of the game is working fine. Let me know if the new Jabal Sag religion's working well. But from where I'm standing right now, the pets has kind of put me off playing it and even doing any more guides on it. What's the point in showing you how to get stuff if it's going to take you for absolutely ever grinding to get there and the reward for it just isn't there? Ways to improve it, I think, would be making sure you can have more than one creature follow you. Even 2 or 3 would be a really good thing to have. Also having more commands that they can do instead of just simply guard an area. Part of the settle system that they spoke about during early access was that you'd have thralls going around your town on patrols and there'd be kind of like a real city builder. That was really unique. That was like one of the best features I thought about this game, being different from Ark or any other survival game, but they've kind of put that right on the back burner. Pets doesn't improve Conan Exiles, it just adds a mediocre layer for you to grind your way through for not much reward. To me, Conan Exiles is on thin ice. I don't think it's got the player base to keep sustaining it to make it a massively great, fantastic game for always. I think it's going to probably die out after Christmas unless they can continually give it updates it needs. And the updates in the future need to be thoroughly tested more, they need to have all the features confirmed, and it all needs to be working when it launches. This isn't early access, it's full release now, and that's the least you expect when you've paid money for a game. I will be back. I'll be talking about Conan Exiles news in the future, when we may get sorcery, if we get mounts, because I like to keep you guys informed and it's part of my survival and early access remit. I really hope the next update wows me and makes me really want to put some hours into the game, but just right now it's just not worth my time. I give you my opinion as well as the news and information. You don't have to like it, but if you do, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you've got notifications turned on. I'm Jade Plays Games. This has been my semi-review of the pet system on Conan Exiles.